564 Atlantic Town.
What happens in the hush behind hangar doors? Who signs the papers that gamble with lives? Which truths were grounded before they even ever had wings? If you've ever buckled a seatbelt at 30,000 feet, if you've ever stared out of that tiny window and wondered who's really in control of the skies, it isn't just flight, it's power, it's politics, it's pressure sealed in steel. We're peeling back the clouds from runway risks to sky-high secrets. We're diving deep where most dare not to look. Aviation Scope, every Sunday at 7 p.m. only on Voice of the People TV. We don't just report, we reveal. We don't just ask, we uncover. Because when it comes to the skies, ignorance is turbulence. Aviation Scope, the sky isn't the limit, it's just the beginning.
Hello there, my name is Damilola Ogunsi, also known as the Goldfish.
Hi, my name is Chiki Bright Emmanuel. I'm an actor and a filmmaker.
Hello peeps, my name is Yomi E. Adejimo.
Hi everyone, I'm Paul Utomi.
Hi everyone, my name is Stacey Benjamin and this is Voice of the People TV.
I need you to keep it locked to VOP TV. See, are you looking for good entertainment? You want to get good movies, good music, politics, talk shows, sports and entertainment. You really want a channel that gives you everything you need without you having to run around. VOP is where you are. That's Voice of the People.
If you're not listening to this, you're not one of us. And you deserve to be killed. Scrap chat. Don't be killed, but watch it. Or I'll find you. And I want you.
And you are locked on VOP TV. Don't go nowhere. This is where the juice is. This is where all you need for entertainment, politics, movies, and whatnot.
And keep watching VOP TV.
So keep it locked because I'm locked already, man, and it's money back guarantee. So you're gonna have a good time because I do.
And please keep watching VOP TV.
I won't want to actually, I beg you, subscribe, watch it. If not, whatever you see.
You better not touch that die because VOP is the plot.
VOP TV. Now you have more than a voice.
Yeah. No, it's on the third topic. I'll call for it. Hello there, good evening, and welcome to Voice of the People Television. I am Chukwuma Okoro. Now, thanks for joining us on Political Lens. We are broadcasting on Metro SL TV channel 264 on YouTube and other social media platforms. We are at VOP TV Live. This conversation is supposed to be interactive, so I expect that you can use the number that is scrolling on your screen to call in and lend your voice to the discussion. On the show today, Fubara Adeleke dumped PDP joined APC Accord Party, meaning that the PDP lost 2 governors in one day. Talking about Fubara and Adeleke dumping the party to join the APC and Accord Party respectively. Now, when we move away from that, we'll go to Abuja, where the Senate has approved deployment of troops to Benin Republic for the president. The president sent a request to the Senate, and the Senate said, well, Mr. President, you can send troops to Benin Republic to go and keep the peace there. And we also hear that Nobel laureate Wole Soyinka has called on the president, next time you want to deploy troops, now call your son Seyi Tinubu to deploy troops because he has enough troops that are guiding him. Now, those are the major topics of discussion. And I've been joined in the studio here by Mr. Dele Fanimo. Dele is a seasoned reporter and political affairs analyst. Good evening, Dele, and thanks for coming to Political Lens. I appreciate your presence as always. How have you been? We keep going. Now, what is in the air? Do you see the Christmas season in the air or what?
Honestly, the impact of the economy is really showing many spheres. Those days when we were growing up,
Okay.
by the turn of November to the first week of December, you have that airy feeling that you are notching up to Christmas, and that period is Harmattan period.
Okay.
that you know that everything they described about Jesus Christ, you feel it in the air. But these days, everybody just goes about.
Looks like okay, we have lost all of that.
Nobody, in fact, the number of people traveling has even diminished so much. Because when you consider you traveling with your family to the village, you are considering any unforeseen circumstance, a kidnapping, accident, and all that. And then the long hours you spend on the road. What if you get to Niger Bridge and the place is permanently blocked? That you cannot go to the other side, and you spend days on end. So, and air travel is so prohibitive that you have to think twice before you want to even try it.
In newsroom today, by this time the jingle bell.
Yeah. You see people wearing this Christmas Santa Claus hat and all that.
Someone used his phone, his device to play jingle bell, and another person said, "My friend, what's the problem? Why are you inviting Christmas? Are you ready for Christmas?" So it looks like the economy, has
honestly, the whole thing has redefined the way we even think about Christmas and celebrations all over the country.
But I like the spirit. You said somehow we'll get by.
We'll get by.
Anyway, now let's get into the topic of discussion. 2 governors from the opposition PDP yesterday followed the footsteps of their colleagues from Delta, Akwa Ibom, and Enugu, and dumped PDP. Well, Rivers Governor Fubara declared for the All Progressives Congress, while Adeleke of Osun State declared for the Accord Party. The SY party, led by their SY party, led by Kabiru Turaki, has reacted strongly to the defection. The party described Fubara's defection as a self-inflicted injury, arguing that Fubara's political challenges were consequences of the choices he willingly made. He stated that his decision only affirmed the legal maxim, volenti non fit injuria, that no harm is done to someone who consents to their situation. The PDP noted that throughout the political crisis in Rivers State, civil society groups, democratic actors, and Nigerians supported Fubara until he capitulated. It suggested he may have succumbed to pressure linked to the federal government, warning against what it termed the Stockholm Syndrome, where a victim grows sympathetic to those exerting control over them. Despite its criticism, the party said it pities the governor and wished him well. Well, beyond the defection, the PDP used the development to highlight what it sees as a growing dysfunction in Nigeria's democracy. It accused the APC of attempting to create a one-party state by weakening opposition forces and using federal power to influence political outcomes. The party also warned that democracy is under severe attack and urged Nigerians and the international community to resist any drift towards authoritarianism. Now, most people saw this defection coming. What's your broad reaction to, PDP losing 2 governors, 2 very important governors, to the opposition parties, one to AP. Okay, the PDP is the major opposition. They lost one to the ruling party, APC, then APC and to Accord Party.
The Accord is
when I say 2 important states, 2 important governors, River State is a cash cow, and you understand that Osun State is the president's home state.
But you see, the Accord thing is just a kind of decoy. The man will eventually land in APC.
And you have always said that.
When I told you last year that the ultimate thing that will happen is that Fubara is coming to APC.
I think most like everybody saw that.
These politicians, the only way to gauge the way they think is to remove yourself from the reality that you always espouse and begin to think the way they think, so that you can have an idea of what move they have next. Now, there was no way Fubara would have survived without joining APC. The first one was when he was invited to Abuja, and they gave him 8-point agenda that he must sign. Right there and then, he signed, only to come out to say that is not his original pen. What has original pen got to do with signing an agreement without anybody putting a gun? After all, other stakeholders from River State were there, past governors were there from River State, and other major stakeholders were there sitting.
At the meeting with the president?
Yes. He was not alone. The other lawmakers were there. His own factional lawmakers, the 4 of them were there. So there was no way, and I'm sure that if he had not seen those people around him, he would have said, maybe they wanted to shoot him. That's why he had to capitulate and sign that document. That was the day this man knew that for his survival, he has to cross over to APC. Don't forget that the 24 lawmakers that were breathing down his neck were supposed to have crossed over to APC at that time. But because the atmosphere was not conducive for them, they elected to say that they are still in PDP. And the reason why they said they were still in PDP at that time was if they are shut out of PDP, all those plans will not be exposed to them. But because they are still in PDP, even when their heart was already in APC, just like Wike is doing now, Wike would never leave PDP until after next election. Because his exit from PDP will give moment of respite to PDP, and they will be able to carry on with whatever they are doing. So he has to remain in PDP and make sure he holds down PDP by making sure that he has his knee on their neck. And in this case, it is not NECK, it is NEC, National Executive Committee.
Okay, of the party.
Of the party.
Okay, now you said something that it was obvious that Fubara would move to the APC.
Of course, it was very clear.
Now, I would like to ask you, was it for political survival, or do you think that he was pressured? Was it a condition for peace in River State? You have to move to the APC.
You see, whatever is happening today is a result of unbridled, rapacious inclination for power by Fubara. You had served as accountant
general.
No, in the office of the governor, before you were elevated to become an accountant general. And for 8 years under Wike, you were accountant general. You were declaring almost 10 billion less than the actual money that was entering, up to 15 billion. He was declaring 13 billion monthly, IGR, and they later got to know that it was 28, even while in the saddle. So where was the 15 billion that was kept somewhere in all the 8 years of Wike? So it was along the line all the time an accomplice to Wike. And because he wanted more, that was why he agreed to all the terms and conditions Wike gave him.
Which we were not told anyway.
Those ones will never come out.
Okay.
But it was an agreement. And when you see two people fighting, it's just like a wife and the husband when they are fighting in the open, and you try to settle the fight.
And you ask them, what is the problem?
What is the problem? Nobody will tell you this real problem. They would rather go to other distractions that will not address the major problem.
What is the problem?
So the problem Wike has not told us. The problem Fubara has not told us. But we can hazard a guess around this problem that is making rivers almost ungovernable. Now, against your will, or whether you like it or whatever, just because you want to be governor. That's why I said rapacious inclination to an unbridled inclination to hold on to power at all costs, at the expense of the rivers people. For instance, having served as accountant general of a state for 8 years, even that was the first, even if that was the first appointment, with there is amount of humongous resources at the disposal of River State government. Even if you want to become a billionaire, you can become a billionaire under a governor who is amenable to your whims and caprices, or under a governor that you are amenable to his whims and caprices. Now, you wanted to be governor because you have seen, rather than hold the leg of the cow, you want to hold the neck of the cow, and with the knife to slaughter the cow. That was why he agreed to every terms and conditions laid down by Wike.
Now let's. I want us to. My question directly. Do you think that it was as a result of pressure that
it wasn't as a result of pressure?
He would have.
It was a desperate attempt by Wike to remain in office. You and I, we have had discussions.
It was a desperate attempt by Wike to remain in office.
Fubara to remain in power.
Okay.
And he knew all along that they had already laid landmines before him. It was clear to him that those lawmakers that formed the majority in that house were APC lawmakers.
Okay. Even when they were wearing
PDP shirts. And he also knows that once those lawmakers start sitting and there is no agreement for him to cross over to APC, he stands to be impeached.
Okay, now let me ask you: if you let's take out the crisis between Nyesom Wike and Sim Fubara and the crisis in Rivers State, will anyone fault any PDP governor, for jumping ship because of the state of the party at the national level?
Let me tell you, anybody, regardless of his aspiration to political office, that still holds on to PDP today, as it is playing a dangerous game. You know what the Japanese will call kamikaze game, where you want to commit suicide at all costs. Anybody that is holding on to PDP today is planning how to commit political suicide.
Okay, so what you're saying is that despite the problem, if there was peace in Rivers State, Sim Fubara would ordinarily have moved to the APC.
Of course.
Okay, because we see that Rivers State, Delta, Bayelsa, Edo, Akwa Ibom, Cross River, all the South states now belong to the APC. Is it the doing of the FCT minister? Is it the man walking around all of this?
You know that if you trouble the source, if you begin to kill the root of a tree, how would the branches survive? Wike went to the heart of the problem and made sure that it destabilized PDP from the root. So the branches are the governors, the senators, the House of Reps members, the House of Assembly members, local government chairmen. Those ones are just like when you say you have a product and you now have a byproduct of the main product. So, you see, one thing that has helped in killing PDP was the scenario that happened in Zamfara in the last election. Just one technical thing, signature, can destroy whatever you have spent, whatever you have invested in any political office during a campaign and during election. Look at what happened in Zamfara. Just because an unauthorized person, unrecognized person, signed more than 50 people's form, and in one fell swoop, they lost election in court. And the rest, they say, is history. So who will now want to travel that route in the next election? That is the reason why these people are jumping ship. More people are coming out of PDP.
More people are coming out of PDP. At last count, we have about 6 governors left to the PDP. Talk about
Adeleke that went to Accord is just trying
we are going to talk about Adeleke. We'll talk about Adeleke in a moment. So PDP has about 6 governors left. Now we hear that the chairman of the PDP Governors Forum, Bala Mohammed, also wants to leave PDP, probably to People's Redemption Party, PDP, party in the north. Now, are we taking our final descent to one-party state, like the PDP won?
You see, one-party state will not suffice here. Understand?
Take that again.
One party structure, one party state will not suffice here. At least to the extent of what will happen in the next election.
Okay. Why
Even
do
the
you think
ruling
so?
party knows that the optics will not be right for the APC to allow a one-party state. Because it will breed insurrection. And it will also breed dissent, which may ultimately truncate democratic rule.
I'm sorry, Dele. Don't you think that we are already in one-party state? We have 36 states of the federation. Out of these 36, 6 belong to the PDP. And out of these 6, we hear that Abu Kefas, Taraba, will join the PDP, will join the APC in January. He gave a reason why he's not joining, but he's already declared for the APC. Now, that leaves PDP with 5. We hear that Bala Mohammed is heading to the PRP. That leaves them with 4, but 4 governors. Then we have the ABGA 1.
Makinde is already positioning APC candidate to become governor.
Now we have ABGA 1 leg in ABGA, 1 leg in fact, they have already endorsed the president for 2027. And
so they are not fielding any candidates.
They are not fielding any candidate. We have Alex Oti. Are we not in a one-party state? If out of the 36 states, you already have 30 in one party.
Now, the way it will work out is if at the end of the day, somebody like Makinde will hold on to the next election.
Okay.
Giving a semblance of PDP putting on to Oyo State and losing to APC in the next election. Because up till now, we have not seen anybody of substance in PDP showing interest in the candidacy for next election in Oyo State.
Okay.
So that has effectively put paid to any PDP contestant in Oyo State. Do you know that you recall that early this year, I gave you an analysis of how Adeleke, the current power minister, will emerge as governor of Oyo State next election. That was hashed in 2002, late 2022, before the presidential election in 2023, where Makinde first, look at the game of politicians. Though. Makinde knew that he was going to leave the state for a very crucial meeting that would determine his fate in the next election. And he was not sure that his deputy will not come and upstage him the way Akala upstaged Ladoja. The first thing he did was to remove him and put a more pliant deputy governor in place that he can conveniently hand over to. That man was chairman, Housing Corporation for your state. So you can imagine somebody who never dreamt of becoming a commissioner being catapulted to deputy governor. There is nothing you want to tell him at that moment.
So essentially, what you're saying is that Makinde will remain in the PDP.
He will remain in PDP.
Okay.
So that will give the impression that, after all, PDP.
But even with 3 governors, can we say that? Can we say that it's not a one-party state if we have 30? If we have 33 over 36.
Out of 19 states, when UPN was contesting, how many did they win?
UPN.
Yes.
UPN won how many states?
5.
UPN won 5. MPP won 5. MPN had the rest. PRP had 1 in Kano. GNPP had 1 in current Borno State. So it was evenly spread at that point.
Yes. And this time around, ABGA had won.
No, but it's not even.
I'm asking you, ABGA has won 1.
ABGA has, but you just said that
they will win 1.
You are not very sure of that. I think we are more like we're already in one-party state. So the debate whether Nigeria is sliding to one-party state or what,
you won't be able to. You won't be able to defend it if some other parties are winning 1-1-1 around.
Okay.
So that does not make it a one-party state.
Exactly my point. When you made reference to the 1979,
and that's why
when you made reference to 1979, it was evenly split. We had 5 political parties.
Yes.
And each of them got a piece.
Yes.
MPP got, MPN got, PRP got, GMPP got, MPN took a larger share of it. So
now,
that one, it was more democratic.
That was what brought about 12 to 3rd.
Okay.
You see, politicians are eternally. If the way politicians study political terrain is the way they study how to develop the country, the states, honestly, by now, nobody will be talking about Dubai or any other place. They should be talking about Nigeria. But they are so intentional about this political space, such that they learn from history. They are very good at learning from history. Tinubu will not allow a one-party state.
Okay.
Because he knows the consequence of one-party state.
Which is
there could be insurrection.
okay.
And we have seen examples of insurrections that sitting governments may not be able to contain at the long run. So you will not want that to
And the thing might just spin out of control and consume everything.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
When Bouazizi doused himself and ignited himself, Tunisian president never knew he was going to consume him. Algerian president never knew he was going to consume him. Libyan president never knew he was going to consume him. Even Assad in Syria, if not for the support of Russia, he never knew it would get to him.
At the end of the day.
Just one innocuous person dousing himself with gasoline and igniting himself and saying, no, enough is enough. You know? So these people are very careful. They are very astute when it comes to playing politics.
So they won't let one party.
They won't let one party emerge.
Okay, now let's go
but
to
you have a very weak opposition around.
Okay. Which is more like one party in operation. But on the face value,
for the optics,
they will look at it is a multi-party. Okay, now let's go to Osun State. You once told me that Adeleke may go to a court party, but ended up saying that he will end up in the PDP. I think that was about in the APC. That was about 10 days ago, if I recall, if my memory serves.
I told you.
Why did you take that position at that point?
Because number one, they have to do a kind of the more you look, the less you see in Osun politics. Because there are some factors there that will not let him have a safe landing in APC. The Oyetola factor, which can be taken care of by the president, being his uncle. The Aregbesola factor, which is still resonating, although feebly, in Osun State. But if Fubara can contest local government election in 2 weeks with PPA and win election.
Alex Otti did the same thing in Abia State with Zenith Labour Party.
So what makes you think that even a party that is not even as visible as Accord party cannot win election in Osun State?
Accord is the party of Ladoja.
Ladoja is the owner of Accord. The same way Adelabu, the power minister.
You said something now that is quite instructive. You said Ladoja is the owner of Accord party.
Yes.
Can an individual own a party?
There are 5 states that somebody owned in Edo State. And anytime anybody wants to contest, he approaches him and he releases to them.
5 what?
5 political parties.
And
that are in ICU.
Okay.
So, take a look at the list of parties. Some parties had never resurrected from ICU.
Okay, will it be appropriate to say that AAC is owned by Omoyele Sowore?
OS owns AAC.
But they have a BOT.
Which BOT?
They have NWC. They have NEC.
He's the chairman, he's the presidential candidate, he's everything. Those ones are just figureheads.
Okay.
What had been their...
All right,
when did they have their convention?
They had one last week in Abuja. let's come back to Osun State. You know, let's come back to Osun State.
You see,
now you always discountenance the Aregbesola factor. You know,
Aregbesola is getting weaker by the day.
While in ADC, that is coming up.
You see, Aregbesola didn't do well in Osun State. Aregbesola upset so many institutional frameworks in Osun State that Adeleke came to fix. Even the ones that Oyetola ought to have fixed. But because of his loyalty to the party and to Aregbesola, he couldn't fix. but Adeleke, that we consider as not too serious, a dancing governor, had come to fix. For instance, there was no basis for Aregbesola to say all schools should wear uniform. Where is it done? So if you are going from your school and my school, we are wearing the same uniform. The only thing is the badge that is different. So if you are not close to me, or I'm not close to you, I don't know which school you belong, because it's the same uniform.
Okay.
And you said, with a stroke of pen, you said state of Osun. Alliteration.
But it went through the assembly.
You don't understand what I'm saying.
Okay.
You know the assembly, what they are in this part of the world. And at the end of the day, he didn't consider the multiplier implication of that. That means all the files, all the logo, all the paraphernalia of office of any MDA in Osun would have to change. You look at the cost implication for that name change alone.
He went into that controversy of hijab and not wearing.
And then he brought about hijab, he brought about a lot of things. He messed up Osun. That's the truth. I was expecting an Aregbesola who was a workaholic in Aregbesola's Fashola's government and Tinubu's government to be so strong that it will be so strong in infrastructure and administration. But unfortunately, he messed up. I didn't know what went wrong with him.
I think he overplayed politics.
That's what I'm saying. Yes. He overplayed politics at the detriment of governance.
Policy and governance.
You understand? So, Adeleke had come to reverse, surprisingly, had come to reverse that trend. And it resonated so well with the electorate, with the people of Osun State, so much that civil servants, retirees, pensioners came out to endorse him. Even as early as early this year, when the election was not even close. He's having his election next year. And yet, those who matter, because for every retiree, he has at least 3-5 dependents, either son, wife, daughter, and all that. So now multiply those people and even civil servants.
Okay, now for the optics, you believe that Accord Party might just win Osun State. But in
spirit, let me tell you,
okay,
if there are two options to this,
okay,
if there is so much strident voice against one party state, a Tinubu will allow Adeleke to run on Accord.
Okay.
So that he will have something to fly and say, you said it's a one-party state.
Even my own state
was won by Accord Party.
Okay.
And what makes you think that you cannot even tell Adelabu in Oyo State to run on Accord Party? You know, he was in Accord Party before he was picked as minister against the whole lot of people in APC when Tinubu wanted to pick his candidate. So that is to tell you what they had already settled for, in Oyo State before last election. That's why when some of my friends will tell me, once Sanusi wants to run for governorship, I said, he cannot run. He's not going to be on the ballot, not to talk of contesting.
Or winning. Okay, now, before we leave these defections now, do you think that there was an altercation, mild altercation anyway, between the First Lady and Demola Adeleke? Do you think, because the First Lady acted as if she had just bottled some kind of act that...
It was premeditated.
Premeditated. Do you think it had anything to do with, you are not coming to APC, you are going to Accord Party?
No.
Okay, you think it had not?
No.
Okay, can I have your brief reaction to... Okay, we talked about it yesterday. Did we?
No,
we didn't. So can I have your brief reaction to what transpired?
You see, maybe as a psychologist...
Okay, we did, but off air.
We did it off air, yes. As a psychologist, I will tell you that what transpired at Olis Palace was a kind of momentary distraction by the First Lady. She forgot where she was. And because Remi is like a sister to Adeleke, and the husband is like a brother to Deji, the patriarch of that family.
No, Remy is like a sister to Ademola.
Ademola Adeleke,
the governor himself.
The governor.
Okay. They have a very close relationship.
Yes.
Okay.
And the husband, Tinubu, is like a big brother to Deji. Adeleke, Ademola's elder brother. Okay. So, you know, sometimes you forget yourself and you begin to talk where the enemy is close by. So what she actually did was, why are you always dancing in public like this? So she just stood up, and you know the proximity of where she sat and where Adeleke was to make his speech, just stood up and said, your own is too much. Leave this dancing and let's go to this program. Because probably she was eager to have a
title and walk away.
Installation done with, and then fly back to Abuja. But unfortunately, she didn't realize that at that moment, it was not Demola on the rostrum.
It was the governor.
It was the governor.
Okay.
And the governor has vested constitutional role than the first lady, who is just there.
Titula, more like. All right, now let's move on. The Nigerian Senate has approved President Bola Tinubu's request to deploy troops to the Republic of Benin to help stabilize the country after an attempted military coup. Senate President Godswill Akpabio announced the decision following a unanimous vote after lawmakers reviewed Tinubu's letter in line with the constitutional requirements. Well, Akpabio described the move as necessary, emphasizing that instability in any neighboring nation poses risks to the entire West African region. Tinubu's letter highlighted Nigeria's historical responsibility and its obligations under ECOWAS security arrangements. He warned that the situation in Benin required urgent intervention to prevent a deterioration of order, while the attempted coup occurred when rogue soldiers claimed to have removed President Patrice Talon, but loyal forces quickly regained control, restoring calm in Cotonou and surrounding areas. Following the failed takeover, ECOWAS ordered the deployment of its nearby standby force, made up of troops from Nigeria, Sierra Leone, Cote d'Ivoire, and Ghana. The regional force is tasked with supporting Benin's military in safeguarding constitutional order and protecting the country's territorial integrity. Do you approve of the deployment of Nigerian troops, to Benin Republic to keep the peace? We already have an ECOWAS standby force. We need an additional force from Nigeria.
I've not heard from government side if there was a deployment of troops to Republic of Benin to quell the coup. But sometimes when government decides not to deny such things, you want to take it as the truth. Because government is always very quick to deny such weighty reports that may not be true. So with that, I'm persuaded that government actually may have sent troops to the Republic of Benin to help and support. Because you recall that it was too late in the day when Niger had its own coup that even the president said they should reinstall the former president. And so I want to be persuaded to believe that actually government may have sent troops to Benin. But the angle that I'm worried about is that there is a nexus between the French wanting to perpetuate the current administration in the Republic of Benin and being helped by Nigerian troops. Because you recall that there had been this argument over the incessant visit of President Tinubu to France. And people are wondering, what do we stand to benefit from France? That its economy is also going down at this moment. And Macron is also having a lot of issues in France. So these are mix that you cannot really, put fingers on. But if actually, in the spirit of ECOWAS unity and preservation of democratic rule in this part of the world, if federal government has sent troops to the Republic of Benin to make sure that they consolidate on democracy, I don't think it's too bad.
Okay, now Nigerians are asking, how come we are able to send troops to Benin Republic when we are having internal problems that we can't even solve with the same troop level?
We had problems. We had economic problems, and we still went ahead to intervene in Sierra Leone and Liberia.
Okay.
It depends on the broader foreign policy of the government, and because Nigeria would always want to play the big brother. What is the population of Republic of Benin? What is the arsenal and all that? And an injury to one is an injury to all. That should be the mantra of ECOWAS, because it's about brotherhood. And that's why they have this free trade and
the protocol,
free passage,
free movement,
protocol,
yeah.
in the sub-region. So, and the Nigerian government had tried it in Sierra Leone and it succeeded. Tried it in Liberia, it succeeded.
At a huge cost to the economy of Nigeria.
Yes, at a huge cost. Yes, at a huge
now,
cost.
that's the question Nigerians
But the
asking.
point is,
Okay.
if we had left Liberia and Sierra Leone to boil to a certain extent, the huge refugee problem we would have may likely overwhelm other West African countries.
That's exactly the point. Now, a lot of people have this argument that you have now that, look, we needed to intervene in Sierra Leone, we needed to intervene in Liberia, because every other refugee will have headed to Nigeria.
Sure.
Now, the irony is that Nigerians are heading outside Nigeria as refugees. And even locally, we have...
No, they're only Japan.
No, they are not. No. I mean, Zulum said he wants to bring how many millions of Nigerians that are in refugee camps in Cameroon.
Yeah.
Yes. And the fact that internally we have people that are displaced. And instead of looking at those problems as big brother, we are trying to go solve other people's problems. So Nigerians are finding it difficult to reconcile all of that. And they say, we have troops that are even idle that we can even send to Benin Republic. Yet we can't deploy them, to battlefronts here. Why?
Is there any troop that is idle in Nigeria?
So the ones that are idle in Nigeria. Okay, now, so we even had to, withdraw troops from the front to Benin Republic. That's the question Nigerians are asking.
Do you know that Nigeria Army last week froze retirement of officers?
Okay.
Because there is no replacement. The way, if you want to follow protocol, for instance, some people that are just one course higher than the current chief of army staff had to be given roles at the defense headquarters, which is detached from the Nigerian army or the service chiefs, because the enormous resources used in training these people cannot be lost at this time when we are assailed by banditry, kidnapping, and terrorism. So we can't safely say that we have enough, you understand? But like I said, in international politics, there are certain things you cannot shy away from.
Okay.
Because even as tiny as Republic of Benin is, you remember that, you recall that the border posts from Owode, Idiroko, Seme, and all that, the legal ones, the numbers, not to talk of the illegal routes that comes to Nigeria. Now, if there is a bedlam in the Republic of Benin, even when our own nationals are in refugee camps, what would happen to our infrastructure? What will happen to our economy? Because either you like it or not, you have to take these people.
Okay, now.
That way.
All right. Nigerians will understand your argument. Now, before we move on to the final topic, the regional body has declared a state of emergency in the region. Is it coming from genuine concerns or a sense of regime protection? They met in Abuja, ECOWAS leaders, ECOWAS head of state met in Abuja yesterday and said, look, enough of all this, but politicians, you also have to, up your democratic credentials and all of that. Are they doing it out of genuine concern that we need to build West African or African democracy? Or you think that they are doing it as a result of, well, we need to protect our regime? What is it for you?
You see, there is no way things like this will not come up. Because what else do you require to declare a state of emergency? How many countries are in West Africa? Now Mali is gone. Burkina Faso is gone.
Yeah, but they are still in West Africa.
Geographically, they are in West Africa. They are from Sahel.
Yes, they are from, yes, Sahel.
They are no longer. They are no longer.
No, they are still in
ECOWAS.
West Africa, but they are no longer part of the regional body.
The regional body is what
ECOWAS.
is the one declaring state of emergency.
Emergency, yes.
It's not the geographical map that is declaring state of emergency. Now, the Sahel, possibly
Guinea-Bissau,
Republic of Benin, would have joined them.
or Guinea-Bissau might also join.
Guinea-Bissau might join. So what is left of West Africa? You're talking about Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, Togo,
countries.
Republic of Benin, Senegal, Gambia. What else? So technically, there should be a state of emergency. If you have 5 children at home,
Exactly,
and 3 are going
exactly my
astray,
question. They have declared that. Do you think it's out of genuine concern, or for Africa to be, West Africa, for our democracy, our democracy to be built up, or is it because, look, we need to do this to protect ourselves? Because it was a summit of
they need to protect themselves.
Okay.
They need to protect themselves. African leaders don't think about the whole. They think about the minutest part, which is their own.
All right. Okay, now Dele, let's get into it. Nobel laureate Professor Wole Soyinka has criticized President Bola Tinubu's handling of Nigeria's military involvement in recently foiled coup attempt in the Republic of Benin. Speaking at the Wole Soyinka Center for Investigative Journalism Awards in Lagos, he described the intervention as an unnecessary military engagement, calling it an entanglement as a matter of fact, arguing that Nigeria should prioritize strengthening democratic institutions instead of rushing into regional military deployment. Soyinka warned that instability in the neighboring countries inevitably affects Nigeria's own security. Beyond regional politics, Soyinka condemned the recent wave of building demolitions in Lagos, lamenting the hardship inflicted on displaced residents. While acknowledging the dangerous structures may need to be removed, he stressed that government's action must be humane and compassionate. He argued that development should never disregard the humanity of those impacted. He also raised concerns over the excessively large security convoy assigned to a young individual close to the president, talking about Sheyi Tinubu, calling it an inappropriate display of state power for someone without public office. He urged humility and restraint, warning that such excess fuels public distrust. Turning to the media, he praised journalists and their resilience, but urged stronger editorial discipline, cautioning that unchecked misinformation, especially on social media, could spark global conflict. Now, there's a video. Let's just listen briefly to what the Nobel laureate said.
We didn't have to send the Air Force and the military to deal with this particular insurrection, this threat to our own sense of security and equilibrium. No, there are easier ways of doing it. Let me tell you where Tinubu should have looked for forces to quell that insurrection. Right here in Lagos, right here, or in Abuja perhaps, I don't know, but there was no need to call the military or the Air Force. I'll tell you what happened. On one of my home visits, this about 2 months ago, I was coming out of a hotel and I saw what looked like a film set. And I said, oh, they're shooting a film. That was on the grounds of this hotel. And a young man detached himself from the actors, came over and greeted me, very polite, very nice young man. And I said, are you shooting somebody? I said, I'm just joking. Are you shooting a film? He said, no. And I looked around. There was nearly a whole battalion occupying the grounds of that hotel in Ikoyi, right here.
That's the Nobel laureate saying that he saw, like the scene he tried to describe.
A whole platoon.
A whole battalion, protecting someone, and it happens to be Sheyi Tinubu. And he says, look, this isn't right, especially in a place where we need forces. And he said, look, Mr. President, next time you need troops, please call Sheyi Tinubu to provide troops for you. Because
this is closer to the theater.
Into the theater, he has enough. So now, what's your reaction to that?
It just speaks to the level of decadence in our polity. If the son of a president would be guarded by those who are supposed to be at the forefront of fighting insurgency, fighting all manners of criminality, would have to be at the behest of a non-state actor. Because Seyi is a non-state actor. There is nothing protecting him from the constitution of this country. It's just unbridled brigandage and waste of government resources. Deploying a battalion is about 60 soldiers.
No, I think it was exaggerated.
I know. No, I'm just trying to paint a picture so that people can understand what we're talking about. If you have 15 soldiers,
okay,
fully armed to the teeth,
guarding just
one person, and those are just the ones that are wearing uniform. What about the ones that are
plain clothes?
Plain clothes. And while he's on that trip, there are some that will be guarding his house.
Okay.
And if he has houses in Lagos and Abuja,
okay,
they will deploy soldiers and policemen to guard these people. Then if just one person has more than 30 people, military men and...
Unfortunately, Dele, we are out of time. Now, can we have your concluding thoughts? Just a wrap, 30 seconds.
Well, I think we shouldn't be too conservative about changing things in this country. Let things run the way it should run. And that's when Nigeria will have respite.
All right, now, thank you very much. That will be it on the show. We'll draw the curtain at this point. I've been speaking with Mr. Dele Fanimo, a reporter and political affairs analyst. And I must say a very big thank you to you, Dele. I appreciate your presence as always. And I hope that we can do this some other time. Thanks for coming.
You can't wait for it. You go to P class.
Thanks for coming. Now, on behalf of the backroom staff, the technical director, bus manager, sound engineer, and the ingest manager, I am Chukuma Okoro. Up next is Issues with Nena Ndemdioto. Please do join us again. And I'll see you tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock on the morning show. Bye for now and enjoy the rest of your evening.
My name is Tao Familoni, and here's to VOP TV. Keep watching, stay tuned, do not touch that dial.
Arararara, my name is Made Kuti, and you're watching BOP TV. Keep watching.
Welcome, my name is Zika Davis. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, boys, viewers, everybody, boys and girls. This is VOP TV. Do you know what that means? Voice of the People TV. You don't have a voice, don't come here. You better make sure your voice is heard.
This is Health Check, your weekly guide to better living, smarter choices, and